Okay, so this is cats in the city of Willoughby. Good evening. I'll just make an introduction. This picture is every man and every cat sees themselves as a tiger. For those who don't know me, I'm Dr. Kim Kendall, cat advocate. I'm a veterinarian whose passion has become reintegrating cats into our homes as the perfect city pet. I only look after cats these days, and although once upon a time I did look after dogs, rabbits, horses and all the other animals humans care for, what I'd like you to take away with you tonight is first, a better understanding of cats, especially your cat, and second, that all you cat owners do have a responsibility to your cat, your neighbour and your community. In integrating these ideas, you will find that the more effort you put into your cat, the more you will get out of her. Your cat matters, and you matter to your cat. The allurophobes will just have to hear me out. The main things I will be describing are what makes a cat, and how understanding that will keep your cat contented, your neighbours happy, and the Willoughby wildlife safe. What do people and cats, dogs, fish, rabbits, chickens and budgies, all the pets that we have, what do we all have in common? Well, there's eating, washing, learning, communicating, playing, sleeping and going to the toilet. All animals have to achieve the same outcomes. Eat, drink, sleep safely, find a mate, raise offspring. I'm going to show you how we've made it pretty difficult for a cat to complete its genetic and evolutionary programming for these tasks, so you can be amazed at how well your cat has adapted and admire it for what it does right, rather than worry about what it does to displease you. Think like this. Before you chastise a cat, imagine it is your mother you are going to correct, and do it considerately. How many of you here have cats who go outside all the time? Sometimes or never. Is it okay to keep a cat indoors all the time? I believe so, for various reasons, but it means owners are ensuring physical safety in exchange for limiting a cat's choices and access to the activities that represent the core functions of a cat. Our feline friends are actually pretty smart. Over the millennia, cats have trained us to find them food without effort, build them shelter without confinement, and give them love without consequences. Now, however, we expect more from them, and just as we have restricted our living spaces from acres to square metres, so we now expect cats to live in confinement with us. But not solitary confinement, please. We put bad men, not good cats, into solitary confinement. So we need to think about what we are doing while we are redefining what it is to be a cat if felines are going to live so closely with us in the city. I will talk about hunting and wildlife protection in a minute, because it is possible to have it all in Willoughby. It's more about managing expectations, really, than about managing cats. What makes a cat a cat? What makes a cat different to, say, a dog, for an example? First, cats have to eat, and to eat they evolved to hunt. Dogs and humans were scavengers when they needed to be, but cats are what's called a hypercarnivore and has to eat something with a heartbeat. Sorry folks, but it just has to be said. We only changed the rules for cats to stop them hunting by putting food in their dish and a litter tray in the laundry in the last 50 years, and that's not nearly long enough for the cat to unevolve. In fact, every cat born is fully equipped to live as a stray, at least in its own mind. Back to this picture here of cat as hunter. Some of the pedigree ones will only survive by hunting out another human to care for them, but most of the breeds, and particularly for the moggy cat, life as a stray is a very real possibility, and they can rise to the occasion. Cats in most parts of the world live on small rodents like rats and mice. That is why the ancient Egyptians looked after the cats so well, because the cats protected all the grain that the Egyptians grew from being turned into mouse food. 20% of Australia's grain crop goes into rodents rather than into bread, especially now the drought has broken and there's a mouse plague on. Second, cats like to live alone or in small groups because they don't want to share their mouse meal, where dogs like to live and work in bigger groups called packs. Humans band together in tribes and for some reason form into massive cities. This is a very big difference, because when you communicate with only a small number of others, you can have a special language, can't you? Usually people will say things to each other or within their family that no one else will understand, except you and them. On the other hand, when you talk to someone else outside your group, like a person in a shop or a waiter, you have to use more careful language so they understand. Well, cats like to talk to only a few other cats, ever, so they only need a few words to tell each other their story. Cats would actually rather not see another cat because they find that misunderstandings occur and then they get into fights and get hurt. Dogs, on the other hand, like to be in big groups, and they have a complex body language and smell language that can be understood by a bigger group. They have a bigger vocabulary. Dogs are always looking for ways to understand what you want, because once they're part of a group, they're happy. Cats tend to look for ways to leave messages for you or all the other cats in the area, so they don't have to talk to anyone. So, what might a cat use to leave these messages with? They don't have pens and paper, do they? So, urine. We call it spraying. And it's the main one. We could call it pee-mail. It's just a message, not a moral comment. Feces. Cats use this to mark boundaries. Anal gland secretions. These usually secrete onto the feces unless the cat is frightened and empties the glands onto anything nearby, rather like the skunk. Scratching. The scent glands on their paws leave a smell, plus the marks leave a visible sign. Head rubbing. This leaves a smell as well, an oil that says they're happy to be with you, actually. With all these message markers, just think of the cat as a great conservationist. They conserve energy by sleeping 18 to 20 hours a day, which makes them the perfect city dweller. Plus they recycle their elimination products as messages. Cats can smell these messages from a long way away because their noses are much better than ours. In fact, 3 times as much of their brain processes smells. This is the cat brain, this is the human brain, lots more devoted to smell. So, to a cat, smelling a perfume or other strong smell is like us walking into a blinding light. Remember also that the musk in perfume is derived from the glands of a subgroup of cats called civets. I'm surprised that cats so rarely get upset about the smell on their owners just before they go out on a date. Dogs love to send and receive messages too, and they are much better at reading body language, people's and other dogs, and they leave messages with their urine and pick up everybody else's urinary gossip while they are out on their walks. Dogs really only go on walks to meet other dogs and gossip. Greyhounds are probably the only ones who just like to run for the sake of it. Third, everyone needs to sleep. We used to think of sleep as wasted time, just ticking away the hours till daylight. However, we now know that sleep is very important for a properly recharged and repaired metabolism and brain. Cats, again, like to sleep alone, and they have to worry about other, bigger predators who might like a cat snack while the cat naps. Say that 3 times fast. Anyway, that is why cats like to sleep in boxes and enclosed spaces, especially up high or under the doona. Whose cat joins them under the blankets at night? How do they breathe? I don't know, and Google has no detailed data. It is another cat mystery, like purring. We still don't know exactly how cats purr, by the way. We're still just supposing. Now, since we're in Willoughby, and we're responsible cat owners, I don't need to talk about the sexing. Boy cats left to their own devices get into lots of trouble. I describe the neutered male cat as being like the boyfriend who stays home to do dishes instead of going to the football. And of course, female cats left intact just have litter after litter of kittens, most of which get sick and die. By the way, does anyone know what a group of kittens is called other than a litter? It's called a Kindle, like the Amazon ebook thingy. So it all comes back to cats. So what makes a cat a cat? And what makes a cat is hunting. Cats are hardwired to hunt. The nice thing about them, though, is that first they teach themselves to hunt by playing, and there are not too many things cuter than a kitten playing, are there? They are so good at it that even a blind cat can catch a mouse, and they hunt even when they're not hungry. Well, who else has eaten an extra bit of cake or taken some chocolate home from a party? You never know when the next morsel might come by, do you? Also, we know cats dream, and what they dream about is hunting. So demanding that cats stop hunting is not going to work. Perhaps if you live at the edge of a wildlife protection zone, you may have to be without a cat. But otherwise, people who love cats and want to have one as a companion have a right to that choice. But with that right comes responsibility. So here in Willoughby area, how can you keep your cat safe and the local wildlife safe and enjoy more of your cat's companionship? You keep them indoors, in a cat park, or at least confined at night, and become an entertainment director. Feline fun time is essential to the cat and excellent for their owner's health as well. Tonight is really about learning. Research has shown that house cats treat their owners as being not very smart felines, and so they try to teach us in their own way. They treat us as cats, and we have to be smart enough to figure out their language so we know what they're trying to tell us, and then make it easy for them to understand what we want as well. Remember that an adult cat is as trainable as your own mother. With care and persistence, you can get a cat to do what they want when you want them to, but most owners are not prepared to put in the time to change a cat's behaviour radically. But if we can understand the world from the cat's point of view, then we can change that world so the cat is more likely to do the things we want it to. And behaviour or learning theory, as it applies to cats, means that what a cat did yesterday, especially if it enjoyed it, it will do tomorrow. And the next day, and the next. Kittens are as trainable as children, so if you fulfill their needs and teach them early, then they will continue to do the things you want. What a cat learns by the age of 5 months old, and especially by the age of 3 months old, is going to influence what it does for the rest of its life. And that means starting as you need to go on. So here are the simple lessons cats would like us to learn. Kittens have to play in order to practice life skills. Remember, every one of them is hardwired to be a stray and thinks of themselves as a tiger. So they play at what they have to learn to live by, hunting and fighting. If you are the only moving thing in their environment, then they turn to you to learn on and with. So they will scratch and bite you, but they expect you to scratch and bite back too, but you can't. Your nails and teeth aren't long enough, so you have to play with toys that the cat can destroy instead. And the toys need to be like the things they evolved to hunt, small, light, and moving at 25 centimetres per second, like a mouse. They want to play with you, not just toys. Even battery-operated toys are not as stimulating for a cat as you, or, in fact, another cat playmate. Once again, even in play, cats want to chase something with a heartbeat, not just an electrical circuit. When you hear the buzzwords environmental enrichment, all it really means is you are trying to be cleverer than your cat and finding ways to help them release their hunting energy, and it will make you laugh while they do it. That makes it environmental enjoyment. Your cat is also giving you information when it scratches the furniture. You just aren't reading it. You need to encourage good behaviour and give the cat something it can scratch on, and your cat really wants you to understand that cleanliness is next to catliness. They would only go into a dirty public toilet to write graffiti on the walls. They're certainly not going to tolerate having to walk in their bare feet into a dirty litter tray. Would you? Cats have to eliminate waste, and they like their toilet to be clean, comfortable and accessible. What this means for one cat is not the same as for another cat. All cats are representative, but no cat is average. So, what worked for one cat may not work for another. Above all things, the greatest sin is to compare one cat directly to another. I don't know if even genetically identical twin humans who do everything the same, never mind relatives, and then what about strangers? The thing we love about cats is their independence. The thing we ignore is their individuality. What one cat prefers is really not an indicator of another cat's preferences. So, how do we keep cats happy in the city of Willoughby? What makes a good owner of a modern cat? Well, identifying them with microchips and dissecting them is the minimum. Really, cats fighting over females and hordes of underfed, sickly kittens are just not the modern concept of pet cat ownership. If you want the enjoyment of your cat's companionship, then you have a couple of responsibilities that you have to provide. Food and shelter. Well, it is your cat, isn't it? Confining your cat at night and a snug bed in the garage or laundry is okay, just somewhere high and dry. And if you're keeping your cat in, it means you're keeping other animals out, so your cat is not going to get beaten up or eaten up. Full-time confinement means you still have to accommodate your cat's core functional requirements. 2 kittens in a scratching post and living indoors is fine. It's been working in Europe for at least 50 years. If you let your cat out and it is one of the 40% of persistent hunters, well, if they stick to rats and mice, is that wrong? Most people do not want to share their home with rodents. If it's birds, then confinement, cat bibs or flashing collars will reduce the catch rate. Possums mostly carry on their secret marsupial business at night and have more to fear from cars than cats a lot of the time. If you live near a wildlife protection zone, that is your choice, and you should either confine your cat or perhaps not have one. Sometimes you can't have everything, despite what the motivational speakers say. If your cat is giving you a hard time by yowling or spraying urine in the house, fighting with you or another cat, these problems are solvable. Most cats, in fact, do not cause their owners any problems. The cat and the owner have adapted to each other. Adaptability and flexibility are the hallmarks of our closest companions, dogs, cats and horses. They love us, despite who we sometimes are. So, here are some questions to ponder. How might a cat tell you it loves you? Head buffs, it's marking you as theirs. Cuddles, sitting on your lap or with you. Cat kisses. How might a cat tell you it doesn't like you? Hissing, scratching, attacking, but what about just avoiding you? How might a cat tell you it's unhappy, stressed, had a scary day outside or a boring day inside? What can you do to help them? If you think about what it takes for a cat to be a success in the wild and understand that each cat is the centre of its own universe, then you will be able to make more sense of the communications your cat shares with you by whatever means it chooses to. So there you have it. Cats are very interesting pets. They do all of the things we want them to do as pets, like love us and sit with us, keep your bed warm at night. If we do right by them and expect only feline accomplishments, then they will do right by us.